Okay, welcome. You are here with Change Models 101. I'm Nicola Graham for Be Change Limited, and I thought I would like to give you the lowdown on my top 10 chosen change models throughout the last century. I would like to explain to you the history of these, how and why they were created. I'd like to give you the explanation of each model in hopefully a simple way. And while we're in it, why not go for the pros and cons for each one? There's no harm in that. And how about a case study just for you so that you can understand if these are useful for you in your projects today. We're giving this content for free, guys. You go ahead, click and subscribe to our channel for more useful information. Let's get going. Hey guys, welcome back to Change Models 101. I am Nicola Graham, your host, and we are on our 10th change model of the last century. And I'm a little bit excited about this one because I'm going to be talking about Build, Excite, Equip methodology today. The reason I'm a little bit excited because it's actually my methodology. And before you switch off and think that this is all a hoax, it is not. I promise I'm going to keep this in the same structure and I'm going to be very pragmatic with the methodology for you today. So with that, let me just tell you all about it and hope I get it right. That would be worrying, wouldn't it? Okay, so what is the Build, Excite, Equip methodology? It is a change model that has been designed so that a project team can take on the responsibilities of change activities that are absolutely crucial for a project to succeed, i.e. for your project to actually get its return on investment. There are certain things that need to be done in order for people to embrace, adopt and be willing to continue to use a system or a process or a change that you are trying to provide. It's actually a three-staged methodology. The first stage is build, which is all around preparing and planning. The second is the excite stage, which is all about marketing, really rallying the troops and shouting about the change that's happening. And the third is equip, which is providing the ability to learn for them and also reinvigorating what they've learnt. So a history about the B methodology, as we call it. It was actually created in 2020 by oneself, Nicola Graham. I created this methodology purely actually kind of by accident, if I'm honest. I needed a way to communicate to a specific client I was working with at the time in my consultancy to explain to them exactly what I did as a business change manager and what I had to go through. So I thought I would simplify it and I'd break it down into bite-sized pieces. So it actually started on a napkin, funny enough, in a coffee shop, and I tried to get everything I do in one big change product and cut it down. And I managed to cut it down into 3 sections. I always like the power of 3, I guess. And from there, that actually evolved. When I presented it to that particular client, they really understood it. They finally understood what a business change manager and her or his team do within a project and how important that is. And it really evolved from there. So I was able to take all of my years of experience as a change manager, but also a project manager. And I was able to kind of go, that works. Yeah, I take a bit of that. I take a bit of this, take a bit of the other, and essentially plagiarize everything I'd learnt and put it into a methodology that I truly feel is the least amount of things a project team need to achieve to get a better return on investment and an improved success and people essentially using the product. A little fun fact for you. Now, through the change models, we've spoken about different fun facts. So just want to caveat, I do not see dead people. Watch the change models. I do not have any crazy inflatable clowns to do experiments on with, sorry about that. And I don't resonate with associating behaviours of people with monsters, or maybe I do, but maybe that's a different kind of story. But what I do find interesting and a fun fact about myself is my favourite colour is yellow, and my entire brand before then was actually black and yellow, and it just so happened to be black and yellow. I didn't think about anything else at the time, and when I was putting down the different stages and naming those stages, obviously I come up with this acronym of B, and it was only until one of my sons went, isn't that funny? You're black and yellow and you also call it B. So fun fact, didn't mean for it to be B and associate it to be the buzzing kind. Just worked that way, I guess. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to talk you through exactly what the Build, Excite, Equip methodology is all about. So now let's go through exactly what the B methodology is about. I mentioned before that it comes into 3 stages. Stage 1 is Build, Stage 2 is Excite, Stage 3 is Equip. And the concept of this methodology is each stage is therefore then broken into 3 more sections. So in Build, where we talk about preparing and planning, you have 3 sections of that preparing and planning. So you prepare and plan around the organization, you prepare and plan around the people, and you also prepare and plan around the projects. There's 3 areas that you hone in your attention within the Build. In the second stage, in the Excite stage, that's when you're rallying the troops. It's your marketing. And as part of the Excite phase, you have Create, where you're going to create that marketing campaign that you need to do. You're going to Inform, which is informing the right people that need to be there in order to market the change that's happening. And then you go to Market, which is selling the change. It's going out and shouting from the rooftops. The final stage is Equip. Now in Equip is all around the providing the ability to learn. And that too is also broken down into 3 sections. First, it's about developing the right equip processes required, the materials, developing all of that, educating the people that need that education, however that is recognized as part of the Build, and also invigoration. So invigoration is ensuring that you are reinforcing positive change, that you're recognizing those that have changed, and you're continuing to invigorate everybody that has gone through the journey or is waiting to go on the change journey. Now, the way that Build, Excite, Equip methodology works is it works as part of your project framework, and you can essentially move this into a waterfall, you can move it into an agile or a hybrid model, but the way that the methodology works is that it overlays into one of your project frameworks. For example, this is a typical waterfall framework. We have stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and obviously the lines actually represent the different stage gates that you'd go through as part of a project team. And stage 1 we're calling Initiate, stage 2 is Design, stage 3 is Build, stage 4 is Go Live, and stage 5 is Close. So as a project manager would go through each one of these stages, they would ensure that they had deliverables and activities that they achieved as part of each stage. What the B methodology does is it helps you understand what parts of this need to go into what parts of your framework to ensure that those activities are also achieved as part of your project deliverables. So in this example here, Build is very much in Initiate and Design parts of a framework. So when you are initiating that project, you're designing that project, you're going to start looking at your organization, the project as a whole, and how you can prepare the change activities required. For example, engagements, training plans, ABC scoring. Then in the design, you're going to focus on the people. And the people part of this is, who are your audience? Who are your key stakeholders? How engaged are they? Do they have attributes of good change agents, for example? Also overlaying into design, but more focused in Build, you have your Excite. So Excite is around creating that engaging strategy. You're going to be doing that as part of design, but it's going to feed into the Build stage. So when you're building your product, that's when you're really going to start informing and marketing your organization about the change that's happening to them. And then as part of Go Live and Close, you have your Equip, and your Equip is around developing the training materials. You're going to do that as part of Build, and you're going to go into the Go Live elements of that. Then you're going to educate in Go Live and also review and refine what you've been developing based on the individuals that you're helping change. And then finally, you're going to go into Close, which is all around the invigoration. So that education goes into the closure, but it also invigorates. So that's where you're going to retest your ABC scorecards. You're going to start to send out those success stories and case studies and really invigorate a really good rapport with the entire project. That's me in a nutshell. Let's talk about some pros and cons. Okay, so let's talk about pros and cons. And as you may notice, one of the cons is I'm also dressed differently. For those of you who have ever done some sort of video shooting, you may realise that sometimes things don't quite go right, including turning a mic on halfway through your production. So rather than redo the whole thing, I thought, you know what, I will just refilm some of the bits that didn't come through. So, ta-da! This is me on a different day. But today we're going to be talking about the pros and the cons of the change model. So one of the pros is that it's actually really easy to apply the B methodology into any project framework that you have. So if you are currently working on a project that is waterfall, whether it is agile or even just a mixture of all sorts of different frameworks, guess what? You can overlay the B methodology into that framework. That's one of the biggest pros for it. Another one is that it's also product agnostic when it comes to change. What I mean by that is you can be working on a project that's an organizational change, or you can be working on a technology change, or anything else that you may think of. But the point is, the B methodology works for all kinds of change. It's all about engaging the people and putting the right people in place to help support your project. So whatever you're working on, you can use the methodology today. The other one is anyone can do it. The whole point of the B methodology is to remove costs and time and resource, so you don't always need a change team. So you can give roles and responsibilities, change activity roles and responsibilities to different members of your existing project. That will mean if you are currently a project manager, you will have some roles to do. Maybe you're a BA, you will also have some roles to do. Or maybe you're somebody else in the team that's really good at communication or has a little bit of a flair for training or talking to people. Whomever your role is, everyone can give this a go. It really is that easy to use. Some of the cons, however, is that you do need to learn this. It's not something that you can just take from these videos and go, well, I get it. You will need to learn and understand the why and the how of the B methodology. Another one is that the action methodology is quite linear. So you have build, you have excite, you have equip, but you really do need to do all three phases for it to work. You can't really go and equip people if you don't understand how you're going to equip them, for example. So if you're watching this and thinking, well, I can just do part of it, you will have to do bits from each of the phase, and the build being absolutely crucial. The other one is that you may look at the methodology and there's lots of different bits and bobs to it. I mentioned before that actually when I was creating this methodology, I took my years of experience and thought that worked, not so much, that worked, not so much, and I put them all together. The concept of the build, excite, equip methodology is that it's designed so that you can use what you need. But there may be a risk when you look at it, you go, whoa, that's over-engineered. It really isn't. You just need to cherry pick what you need for your project. If you're running something light, then you just need a few touches from build, from excite and equip. But if you're running something bigger, you may need to do the whole thing. Okay, let's go into a case example for you now, where we can run through a real life example of how you can use this methodology in your project. Now let's go through a case example together. I'm going to be using today an example of a construction firm, and we're going to name them River Construction. And I'm going to walk you through how the B methodology was used in a specific rollout. Now, the example today is this is a global firm. Yes, that's supposed to be a world. And this firm have decided to upgrade and deploy Office 16 to 2,600 staff. They have decided that they wanted a phased rollout. This is going to be a very intricate piece for them. They are going to pull in really old equipment that was previously used. They're going to be upgrading laptops as well as upgrading their operating systems. So actually, it's a very disruptive project for everyone involved. So the project have decided that they're going to use a phased rollout, and that they're going to roll this Office 16 deployment out in 6 tranches. Now, the complexities of this specific River Construction Limited firm is they have teams all over the world, but they also have teams scattered in different areas. So they have teams in the headquarters, for example. They have teams in regional offices. They also have teams working at home, and they have people in local offices. So as you can imagine, the demographics are going to be really spread when it comes to deploying these new technologies and new laptops. The project decide that they want to split this into a 6 tranche, and that they want to roll out these tranches based on quarters. So in Q1, they're going to do 1 tranche. In Q2, they're going to do another tranche. In Q3, they're going to ramp it up because the expectation there is that we're going to be a lot more efficient in the way that we're deploying these. So tranches 3 and 4 will go in Q3, and 5 and 6 will go in Q4. Where does the B methodology help with this? Well, the reality is, at this stage, you don't know in a project really which group of people or just people are best situated in each tranche. You're going to be taking a guess. That's the likeliness of this. Or you're going to be asking senior managements to decide. That's not always the way to do it. Now, when you engage people from the very beginning, they can have a really positive influence on decisions like this. So not only are the people going to be taken on this journey with you, they're also going to be informed and included into these tranches. And that also has a knock-on effect. So if you are doing lots of testing in an Office 16 upgrade, maybe you have lots of different applications and systems you need to test, you can actually get people involved from the very start of your project, and they can also help not only advocate your project, but also help you test it. So you can have those user acceptance testers also from the business coming in and giving you their feedback and their testing. So this is a really great tool for you to use. Now, we mentioned before that the acronym is Build, Excite, Equip, and that you focus on different situations as part of the project. And I showed you before how this overlays into a project. So when you are in initiation and design, you're going to be doing more of the build areas and some of the equip, and then some of the excite. And then as you go progress through the project and you go more into go live, that's when you're going to be coming into the equip. So we walked that through before. Now imagine that as part of your project, it's overlaid into your frameworks. Now let's look at what you could do in this example here. So in the build phase, we talk about organizations. The first and foremost priority of your project is to understand your channels. Channels being your communication channels. How can you communicate with your organization? If we want to start screaming and shouting about all these different tranches that are going to be happening and the fact that it's a phased deployment, and not only is it just an Office 16 rollout, it's actually going to be upgrades as well, you need to understand how you can communicate with them. So this part is crucial. And remember, this is a global firm. So in this example here, it's going to be really, really, really paramount to understand not only how HQ communicate, but also how these people read. Some people at home may need a different channel to people in HQ, for example. For example, head office, often you'll find digital signage as a really great opportunity, the TVs in the canteen, but people at home are not going to see that. So how can we get through to them? So through organisation assessments and other questionnaires, you can actually start to focus on those channels by asking the right questions to the right people and understanding and mapping that as part of your project. Another thing that we can do in this example is talk about the voice, the tone of voice that the organisation has. If we wanted to understand better why we're doing this, maybe we can create a voice that suits the company branding, that they're okay with. For example, it might be, in this example here actually, in Office 16, there's not a great deal of difference in the operating system. So how do we voice that? Can we be a little bit more cool kids, let's say? Maybe your organisation wouldn't allow that. So to understand that from the very start will stop any errors moving forward of some branding police kind of knocking on your door and going, you've got this wrong, the voice is all wrong. So we can understand the voice. And then the third part of the organisation in this example is demographics. So where are these people who resides where? So understanding the exact demographics and how those groups work together, you can really start to understand how they might fit into these tranches. People. Understanding the people as part of the build is focusing on two main areas in this example. The first one are your change agents. Now, if you've seen any of my assessments that I've done on YouTube, if not, go ahead and find them out. We talk about social network analysis. Now, social network analysis is such an awesome tool to use. We've got a tool that you can use. We've got assessments, templates that you can borrow. But the main aim of that is to understand the true, I said true, influencers and champions. Do not assume that it's hierarchical. Just because somebody's at the top does not mean that they're going to be an advocate for your project. Somebody that is chatting to everyone is more likely to be a good advocate, or somebody who loves presenting and is always having really strong team meetings, they're going to be an advocate. And you can only understand that once you start to do some analysis. So in the build people phase, that's when you focus on your change agents, influencers and champions. The other important part here is impacts. So especially when you're doing any kind of phased rollout, impact assessment is crucial, because with my impact assessment, the way that I simplify it is I break it down into groups. You don't just look at one department or a person, you start to cluster by groups, and then you kind of squish the impact it's going to make, and you end up with, if you do it well, 3 or 4 different groups. Those 3 or 4 different groups can then be pushed into these tranches. For example, if the impact to some people is going to be really, really tiny, really, really low, chances are you want to do them at the start, because you're going to be able to roll it out to them. You're going to start getting some momentum, which is going to please your project board. But also what's going to happen at that time is whilst you're rolling out to them, you can learn from them. You can refine. You know, I always talk about this in the B methodology, review and refine all the time. By refining what you're doing, it means that those tranches, you can improve everything. You can improve all of this as you go along. But, you know, that's also dependent on your project. It might be the other way around, by the way. You might find that actually you want to get the more impactful people out at the start, because maybe you got more resources at the start. Who knows? But the point is, by doing the impact assessments as part of people in build, you understand very early on what the best groups, whom the best people are in which groups per tranche. The other part in build is the project. Now in the project, one of the crucial parts here will be ABC scorecards. You want to prove that you had a successful deployment, and you can prove that by analysis. And actually you'll notice down here in the equip, you redo your ABC scorecards, and it's one of my best tools that I always use, where you can truly measure how well people have adopted your technology or your project. So ABC scorecards, and also engagement plans. Engagement plans are not communication plans. Communication plans, throw them out the window. Think engagement plans. How are you going to train them? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to engage with the right people to help advocate your project? So then as you move into this, you're going to then move into the excite area. Now the excite area it's going to happen before the rollout. So you're going to be doing this around your design phase. And you focus on your project brand. Now, especially in a global firm like this, especially when you've got a lot of stuff going on, create that project brand identity, guys. Make sure that you give people the right impressions about your project, so that when they recognize it, they are biting at the chop, chomping at the bit to get part of your project going for them. The other part is also creating a knowledge base. This is one area I always say, think about it like a website. Create a website for your project so that you can put your phased rollouts into that website. And all you have to do is go, oh, you've heard about blah, blah, blah identity. Well, guess what? Click here, find out more. And then people will get into that habit of going to your knowledge base to understand more about the project. It will also help with the rollouts, I promise you. The second part is informs. This is all around informing, as we mentioned before. So informing the people, this is really beginning to inform the right people to help market the project that's going on for them. So this is then looking at those engagement plans that you've created as part of your project build and starting to put them into action. For example, if it is that you've decided as part of your engagement plans that you're going to go to a town hall, well, there's people that you need to reach out to and contact and ask to be invited. If there is a group of people, your change agents, that are going to advocate this for you, then you need to start creating the PowerPoint or the email or whatever it might be that you're asking them to send on your behalf. So your engagement plans are crucial. And then you go to market. You push it out to everyone. So the market is change agents get involved. They start talking about it. You start talking about it. Whatever, whomever is part of your engagement plan starts to market that change. Then you move on to equip. Now, equip is focusing on develop. So that's developing all of the things that you need to be in place, ready to educate. For me, that's two parts of this deployment here. The first one is your training materials. How are you training them? Comes as part of your engagement plans, but you need to make sure you got those materials ready. And this isn't necessarily recreating all of those training materials yourself. It might be that you can find them online and you just need to have them in your knowledge base. I promise you this was easy. In your knowledge base so that people can click on them and learn more. And also the coaching the change agents. So you are going to recruit change agents as part of your B methodology, i.e. please come and be an advocate for me, or please come and be a champion. But you need to coach them. You need to coach them on how to be a champion, for example, and where all of the information is that they will need to go to find out more. For example, if Taylor Swift, always use the music people, if Taylor Swift is here to be a champion to her team of 20 or part of her peers of 20, then actually that's great. This is what you can do. Please be mindful that people learn in different ways. By the way, these are the ways. And also, here's a forum that you can reach out to us. Here's a support group. This is your BAU, the business as usual services that you require. So coaching them at that point is crucial, because then, ta-da, you go on to educate. And educate is the coaching and is the training. So Taylor Swift and all of the other champions can then start to coach and train their groups. And again, that will all be based on your engagement plans. I don't know what your team's doing, but it might be you and them, or it might just be them. It depends how you've structured it. And then finally, the invigorate is ABC scoring. So you rescore people so you can assess whether they actually have adopted the new deployment of Office 16, or if they need some extra support. And if they need extra support, you put it in here so that you get their scores up, but then you can start to shout about it. So as part of your engagement plans is, we did a great job, pat on the back, look how awesome the team is. That is a really great example of how B will work in a project, but it's not just a waterfall project. This is also capable of working in Agile as well. So all of these bits will work in an Agile sprint-based rollout as well for you. So that's a really great example for you. Maybe you've had an example already pop up. Either way, the Build, Excite, Equip model will work in them for you. So I hope you've enjoyed today's change model. This is the end of the series. We're now planning to do some other different kinds of Model 101s, so they'll be coming shortly your way. Please leave the comments in the box below so we can obviously learn or hear more about your thoughts, and also we can learn from you as well. So until the next time, don't forget to click and subscribe. Always forget that one. I really hope you've enjoyed this series. Thank you ever so much for supporting it along the way. And until the next time, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week, and take care. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's content. Don't forget, guys, click and subscribe for more content coming your way very soon. And whilst you're at it, how about something free of charge? Yeah, that's right. I said free of charge. Sign up now, www.bchange.co.uk, where we are giving you a free change management course. That's right, the Build, Excite, Equip Foundation course, where we will educate you within 2 hours exactly why change management is crucial to project teams, but also how project teams can do this role within their existing activities. That's right, you truly can take people on that journey with you in your projects, and you can improve your project success. I promise you improved return on investment. Check it out today. Bye-bye.